What do you want to know?
Well, I'm going to keep it broad in the sense of I'm concerned. I would like to find out about my relationship with Cam as a partner, my business, where it's going in terms of, like you said, we're trying to do an animated TV show, and my current relationship with my
animated
boyfriend.
TV show.
Yes.
No one said that. That's cool. Okay.
And the current relationship that I've had for 13 and a half years, who I live with, my boyfriend. So okay. I don't know how you can zero in on
honey,
one
I
aspect.
can go. Watch me go. Watch me go. Okay, let's start with career because it's the simplest, straightforward answer that I see. So while Cam's midheaven, which is the career point, is activated right now, yours gets activated next year, early next year, and for 2 years. And so if you're trying to create a deal that will, be a TV show, the astrology is fucking excellent for that.
That's what my tarot card said.
Great. It looks excellent. The only mitigating factor that I would say, that's not excellent. That's like we'll see what happens. But we'll get there. The only mitigating factor I'll say is that the Pluto return of the United States is this massive transit that's happening, which can be very tumultuous. And what I think can happen is that, entertainment deals can go in radically different ways when major social unrest occurs. So that would be the only thing that I could see stopping it. That's how strong it is. So your career shit looks like check it off the fucking thing. It's great. And you love doing it. It brings you joy.
Do. Oh yeah.
It looks like a hobby. It's not like it looks like a hobby in a negative way. It's just you would do this in any context. This is just fun for you.
Absolutely.
So that one we're knocking off the list. Now, the other two questions were about your partnership. And do you live together?
Yes.
And are you guys monogamous?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on, let me just peep around. And what do you want to know about this relationship?
Well, 13 and a half years, and it's been woo. I'm just curious as to the future of the relationship, if you see it progressing in a positive way, or is it going to be a rocky road, or is it going downhill?
So are you really asking, do you really want me to look at this?
Yes. Okay.
So I'm going to do it psychically. Watch a bitch go. So I want to make sure I'm seeing him correctly. He's both really easygoing and really rigid.
Yes.
Okay. Kind of a big guy?
Yes.
Okay, got him. You fight a lot?
Yes.
In some ways, I think it works for you to fight a lot. And I don't, sometimes I look at conflict and I'm like, okay, you're fighting about something substantive and this is unhealthy. And sometimes I look at conflict and I'm just it's like schwitzing. It's just what you do. It's maybe a little unpleasant, but it is what it is. And I think there are moments and maybe even months where you're like, this is bullshit. This is too much fighting, or fighting about things that are actually not okay. And the rest of the time, you're like, this is what we do. And this actually works for me. It's working. And it's not conventional. I think the key is whether or not you fight fair, and whether or not when things are substantive, you can slow the conversation down and actually fucking have a conversation instead of just being kind of jerks to each other, which again, kind of works for the two of you. Does that make sense?
Spot fucking on.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cam?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very accurate interpretation.
Thank you very much.
Literally, it was beyond.
Thank you very much. Luckily.
Tears, because it was so perfect.
Good. Thank you. And also, the sex is good?
Sex is great. And I could say that in front of my son. He's a Gemini.
Well, I have one of those too at home. Big fan. And also, I'll say, you did not have that dynamic with your husband, eh? The fighting?
Oh, no. Bickering.
You did? You did have the same kind of dynamic?
Bickering. More,
okay.
More, yeah. But different types. But
it feels very different to me.
No physical fighting, obviously. I would not be in that relationship. But.
It's the fighting. So in your birth chart, you have Mars as the focal planet of your T-square. And what this means, very broadly speaking, I won't get all the details of the world, but what this means is that it took you a long time when you were younger to give yourself permission to have your anger in a healthy way. And for you, having intimate relationships where you can be fucking annoyed with people because people are annoying,
Yes.
it's actually good for you as long as you know the limits. And inevitably, you cross the line sometimes. And I'm sure he crosses the line sometimes. And, you know, the problem with that is only if you're not willing to be humble and be like, I crossed the fucking line. That wasn't fair. And we have rules of conduct. I'm allowed to insult your hairline and I'm not allowed to insult your shoe size. And that's the rules. So I'm sorry, I crossed the line. Like, as long as you can have those kind of agreements, it's fine for you. And, you know, there's a way that for you, living your life in a way that works for you, fuck convention, it's one of the things you've come here to figure out. It's one of the things you've come here to really give yourself. And this is really unconventional. You know?
He's 15 years younger than me. Start with that.
Oh, and he's 15 years younger. That doesn't look like an issue.
Nope.
Is it an issue?
Nope.
No, it doesn't look like an issue at all. It doesn't look like it's an issue for him or for you. Does he have health problems?
Not yet. One of the things we fight about is what he eats.
Yeah. Is there heart disease in his family?
His dad had a heart attack at 62.
That's a yes then. Yeah, I mean, I do see that his, you're healthier than him. He does need to take better care of his cardiovascular system, and he has to take better care of his body in general. And you are not in a place in your life where you want to manage that anymore. And that doesn't mean that you don't talk about it all the fucking time. You got Mercury and Venus in Virgo. So you probably are like, you should eat this, you should do that to everyone that you care about. But you actually don't want to mother him. You've done that in your life and you're done with that. And so it's a little bit of a mixed message that you give him. It's like you expect him to do it on his own, but you also kind of micromanage it. And I think having so if I could give you good, in my view, advice, having a conversation with him where you say to him, listen, I understand that I try to micromanage and I don't do it always because I love you. I do it because it's my habit, and I do it because I love you, and I do it because I'm scared you won't take care of yourself if I don't remind you. And I want you to know the reason why I do it is because I love you, and I don't want to watch you suffer, and I don't want to lose you. And I love you. And so if you can like hear that, what can you say to me? Like, just ask him, like, what can you say to me? This thing I'm suggesting is something that I call, it's like a relationship theory that I have and that I use with my clients all the time. I call it blowjobs and pizza. When we welcome to my mind. Welcome to my mind.
I'm there.
Thank you. I had a feeling you'd be ready to go. So the blowjobs and pizza theory is when we're in a partnership, and the only time we talk about difficult things is when we're having a fight or when you're like riled up about a thing. Your partner is responding to your energy and your tone and not your words. So if instead, blowjobs for everyone, you order a pizza or whatever is delicious and fun and not too serious, and you remember that you're a team. And then as a teammate, you say to your teammate, hey, teammate, I know I don't always pass the ball the way I should. I know you don't, and I want us to be a better team. Let's talk about this difficult thing. Everyone's more open. The conversation goes better. And if you do it as a manipulation tactic, it doesn't work. It only works when you remember he is your fucking teammate. And the reason why you get on him is only because A, it's fun, and B, you're scared. You care about him and you're scared. And so this strategy, it really works when used, and it'll work with him. It would also work on you if he was listening. So, for whatever that's worth. But overall, the relationship looks good. I look at your chart and I see that you could stay or go, kind of in general. Like, you're a person who's just like, you change. You really change in life. And so, the question that you've asked me, I'm not sure if you're like, will we be together forever? I would hate to answer that question for you because I don't want you to feel strangled. Like, I don't want you to feel stuck.
I didn't ask
Just
that
keep on
question.
choosing him until you don't choose him.
Yeah, that's
Does that
how
make
we've
sense?
taken it, like day by day. And I'm like, well, it works for me today. Didn't work for me a
That's the
couple
way to
months
do it.
ago, but worked for me today.
I think that's the way to do it. I'm in a 10-year-long relationship myself, and we're forever fianced. I don't want to get married. It makes me want to poke my eyes out. Would hate to be married. But I get a ring every 10 years, so I have another one. Says and Rome.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that. And your chart is Uranian enough that some version of that is what works for you. Being able to choose your partner instead of being contractually obliged to your partner is a better match for you.
Much better.
Yeah. So this is where you need to be now. I think that this relationship gives you the stimulation and also the stability that you crave. And sometimes you wish you were getting a little more stability and you're getting stimulation, vice versa. You know, sometimes it goes either way. But I think the problems in this relationship are actually kind of, they're not big problems for you for the most part. Does that make sense? I see
Cam,
you
does that
smiling
make
and
sense?
agreeing. That's what I'm curious about.
Totally. It does. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's great. Okay, so now we have a third question. I told you I'd get to all your questions. I like a
you.
challenge. So what's the third question?
You were asking about our relationship as business partners.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Interesting. Okay, so is it just a general question about... Wait, are you hearing that sound?
We hear a little background, but I think it's fine.
Is it okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. It's my computer from what I just opened. What are you asking about this relationship?
Yesterday when I did the tarot, it seemed like there was a lot of, two cards like popped out, and I wanted to put one back in my phone that said, "No, you got to keep that one." Both
What
of them
was
were
it?
they were both along these lines of. It might have been this, but I'm not 100% sure.
That's a great card. Okay.
They were all about not being afraid and just going out and choosing to not give a shit about what people think and just do your thing that you've been working on. Just seemed
Okay.
like that's where it was going. And then I
So-
was thinking in terms of Cam, because he is obviously a partner in this podcast, and in the future, if we do something with TV and things like that, I was thinking, is this a good thing for both of us? It feels like it is.
So in your relationship chart, you have a Sun, Midheaven, North Node, Saturn conjunction, which means that it makes weirdly perfect sense that the two of you would have a public career together.
Wow.
Weird. Okay. It could be either of you. Based on our conversations, and based on looking at both of your charts, I'm going to guess it's Cam, but it could be either of you. Will at some point need to pivot or change, and the other person will feel threatened and harmed by that. And the two of you do not have great boundaries. Sorry. And so this is going to be, a sticky situation. I imagine you've had moments of this throughout your relationship. I mean, you couldn't be closer, right? And so the agreements the two of you make need to have flexibility to them so that it feels like success and it isn't just externally successful, because you have all the markers for professional public success. But you don't have all the markers for flexibility and good boundaries. In fact, you don't have many. So that's the thing I would work on. And this isn't about, I guess, arguably, the whole thing, your whole shtick is no boundaries. Let's just do this, right? So you make it work for you. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm more talking about there's a way that you're very different people around negotiating boundaries. Karen Lee, you're actually really great at being like, no, don't want it, no. And then Cam, when I look at your chart, you come across like you're good at it, but I don't know that you are good at it. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I think many times in this conversation, you've been like, there's no boundaries here. You got to do something.
Yeah. And this, just like in any other professional relationship, can be contractually negotiated. The problem is, as family relationships are not usually contractually negotiated. And there's an inherent power differential, mom-child. And so, I would definitely say if you're going to do something like sign up for, a season or multiple seasons on a TV show, I would recommend, and I don't expect you to take my advice, even though I think it's great advice that I'm about to give you. I would recommend you get a mediator who is there to represent both of your needs, not because there's conflict. Usually mediators are employed when there's a conflict. I'm not actually seeing a conflict. I'm seeing that you two could simply use a third party to make sure that both of your fears and hopes are addressed in your contractual agreement. And this might not be like if you do something with Netflix, it might not be, with your contract with Netflix. It might be a contract you make between the two of you, not legally binding, unless you want it to be, where you make agreements. So, Cam, if you're just like, my podcasting company is, popping off and I need to step back, that there's infrastructure so that you're not abandoning the project and you're not abandoning your mom with no recourse because the project depends on both of you. There's some sort of agreements there. And this will make it so that neither of you get screwed in any way. Not that I see that one of you would screw each other at all, but I'm, prepare for the worst and then be thrilled when something moderately bad happens, like I'm Jewish, I know things. So that's what I recommend for the two of you.
Thank you.
And for whatever it's worth, Cam, in doing this, you're developing skills that you need for the partnership that you theoretically want. Mm-hmm. So, it's worth doing in that way. And I think it would be very soothing for you, Karen Lee. Like, I think it'd be very soothing for you.
Yeah, I have this foreboding fear that I got to get this thing done soon because I'm already getting old. We talked about that before we started this podcast.
You're like, tick-tock, we got to get this done.
I'm not going to look as good as I look right now in 5 years from now.
I respect that. / also, it's a cartoon.
Right.
But I understand you're going to be like doing press and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
I hear you. I will say that your fears show up in your relationship chart. And it's important that you remember who the fuck you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. As long as you are willing to evolve and pivot your relationship to beauty and vanity, you're not going to have a problem with that. Like, unless you let it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, every woman has a fucking problem with that. And also, you're going to be able to be working till you're old as fuck. Yay. If you want to. Yeah.
That's the inherent question that I had over all those 3 questions.
You have to be really careful with your immune system. Do you have a thyroid issue?
I did. I had a big issue with it.
Did you have it removed?
No, it was a virus. It went in, attacked, and then went out. Thank God.
Wow, you had a virus to your thyroid.
Silent thyroiditis.
I've never heard of that. But your chart is classic for this, even though I'd never heard of it. When you get physical ailments, they kind of debilitate you, and they're often difficult to diagnose. They're random. They're often related to your metabolic system. You have to do a lot to support your kidneys and your liver, like good Chinese medicine stuff, stuff that you can address with Chinese medicine is what I was trying to say. But broadly speaking, you're quite healthy, and you have to be that California person who doesn't eat all these foods in order to stay right with yourself, so don't go back to Illinois. It'll be a pain in your ass. You got to stay here.
That ain't happening.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to stay here. You got to eat like a fucking Californian. But outside of that, all bodies, I mean, they're made for a limited time only, right?
Right.
They don't last forever, but you have so much energy. And as long as you're managing your health, you don't only have 5 years. And fun fact, Cam has commitment issues. Now, Cam, I don't know if you think you have commitment issues, but I think you have commitment issues. So I'm just saying it like it's a fact. And so the more worried you are of oh shit, I only have a certain amount of time, the more that Cam kind of shuts down. And Cam, does that feel right to you?
I would agree that, yeah, it's definitely hard for me to find something to commit to. But she's never expressed any ambiguity around the podcast or our work together, so it's never created any issues for me in terms of fear of
Jessica,
is she going to bow out?
What he and I both did not bring up is we both have, and this goes with my other daughter, and it goes with a lot of family members in my past. Huge anxiety, huge. Especially ours is medical anxiety. Other members might have social anxiety, but we, I can speak for you on this, I'm sure, Cam.
As this duo.
It's a duo.
I see. Okay, and that's a lot of what I'm talking about. this is, I talk about boundaries. I'm saying that because I'm seeing these anxieties, and I wasn't seeing it as, like medical, like an anxiety disorder or whatever. I was just seeing it as like in situations. But that makes sense. And I think, again, being clear with people is hard when you're feeling anxious because you're not feeling clear. Like that's the whole that's part of the problem with anxiety. So that makes sense. And also, when I come back to this relationship chart, the opportunities that you're being offered around TV or whatever it is, you need to scrutinize the contracts you're being offered. Like you have lawyers, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Like a bunch of lawyers that you trust. Okay, good. You just need to scrutinize them because you don't need to jump at the first thing you're offered if it's not the right offer. And, if you're feeling like tick-tock, you might be like, it's not perfect, but I gotta. You don't gotta do shit, girl. You don't gotta do shit. So it's important to, shop around your options. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
So funny. Cam was saying that like for the last 6 months.
Cam's right. And the thing is that in this situation, you are uncharacteristically driven by a fear, and that's because of aging. And aging as a woman in public is a fucking bitch, right? And so it's tough. It's tough. And I think that there's an opportunity in this, and you know what the opportunity is, and you take the opportunity, but the older you get, the more you got to take the fucking opportunity. It gets harder to do. So here we are. And I do think that it's just about continuing to have that conversation with yourself around what it means to age in public, and what is doing it look like for you, like what is doing it in a healthy way look like for you, because you can command great opportunities as a team. Don't jump on the first good opportunity out of fear. That's the full message on that I wanted to make sure I expressed. Do you have grandkids?
Not yet.
Mm-hmm.
I will be. My daughter is in the process of working on that.
Okay. Do you want grandkids?
Yeah, but I don't. When you said before, I apologize. I know you're not going to want to hear this. It's not my. It's not. It was for me when I wanted kids. That was my only option.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was like kids, but not grandkids. I mean.
So you're chill about that one way or another?
I'm chill about that. I'm chill about whatever my kids want to do.
Great. Okay, cool. Because there's a way that in your relationship chart, it's like your work together is a child,
It is. We call it the golden goose.
It's like it is. I mean, it's a. I mean, I'm seeing the baby goose and the golden goose egg, but this in your relationship chart, the career stuff shows up as a child, like as this thing you nurture as a team, and that should be like a solid Dayenu. It should suffice. Like it's got to be enough here. It looks like that's good for this relationship, and and that's what I need to tell you about that.